Hello YouTube land, this is Veteran Mountain Man coming to you again with some more information about the 1776 conservative idea. So last time we talked about being informed, specifically being informed from a media standpoint. And we went over the fact that it's important to have multiple media sources and to diversify your sources on different sides of the spectrum. But now let's talk about something else. What about the non-current events? What is it that you can do to make yourself a wiser, smarter, better informed citizen? Well, the first thing I always recommend when I get asked this question is to start at the beginning. Start with founding principles. Let's go back to the Declaration of Independence, the original U.S. Constitution of the United States, the Bill of Rights, which is the first 10 amendments, and all the additional amendments thereafter. Then go ahead and proceed to your state constitution, which is your closest governing document to your home. Then take a look at your city or town charter, and then any state or county regulations, as well as knowing where to find the federal regulations governing different activities. Most of the federal regulations are at .gov addresses, so you have whitehouse.gov, congress.gov, epa.gov, irs.gov, census.gov, so on and so forth. All of these will give you access to the search archives of the particular departments to allow you to access the regulations. Then on top of that, you've got your state constitution, your city charter, and even your state regulations, city, county, and town regulations if you fall under those different things. And you don't necessarily need to be an expert in all of these things. But I do recommend at least reading the founding documents for your individual city or town, your state, and your country. Because if you don't understand the base principles, then when you're asked about different types of petitions or different types of initiatives being voted on in your area or changes to your town charter, you're not making an informed decision. You're making an ill-informed decision. And so if you understand what's there, then you can better understand what you need to be voting on. Also, I recommend studying the laws that most accurately apply to yourself. One of the big ones is things such as concealed carry weapons licenses, home ownership clauses, HOA doctrines that you might live in, parking policies in your city or county, just different type of stuff that you might run into as a day-to-day citizen, which can allow you to be more lawfully abiding, because by abiding by the laws and policies, you can then testify to what type of difficulties they cause, and also so that you can understand if you are breaking a law, either intentionally or unintentionally, and know what the consequences are, and know how to deal with the consequences without overreacting or possibly ending up in jail for resisting arrest or failure to obey a police officer. These are kind of sucky things to be caught up on. So, those are all important. Now, some other things that I would recommend you read are the Communist Manifesto, John Locke's discourse, his treatises on government. I would recommend reading Leviathan. I would recommend reading Sal Lewinsky's Rules for Radicals. I would recommend reading the RNC and DNC charters. I would also recommend reading A Critique of Pure Tolerance, Marcuse's discourse on repressive tolerance, critical theory, critical race theory, and Cheryl Willis's intersectional theory as well, so that you can better understand what's going on in the United States with the discourse of the cultural Marxists versus the classical liberals and constitutionalists like myself, as well as the Republicans. I call Many in the Republican Party, straight up Republicans, the ones that are actually conservatives, will identify themselves as some form of conservatism and will state that they generally vote for the Republican Party. But conservatism is an ideal. Republican is a party. And so conservatism exists even if you're not a Republican. There are plenty of small L libertarians out there who vote Libertarian Party or on some occasions Democrat Party as opposed to Republican Party. And there's nothing wrong with that as long as their candidate meets the ideals that they espouse better than the other candidate. They made an intelligent, informed decision. However, if you don't know what the candidates stand for, you cannot make an intelligent, informed decision just based on their party identifier, because there are too many sections in every party, and that leads mostly because of our dual party system. If we had more parties becoming national parties and actively competing against each other in a more regular basis, you would see a lot more distinction between the parties, and you would see a lot more distinction between the candidates. Instead, you're seeing far less distinction between the candidates because we have primarily a two-party system. And the only way to change that is to change it at the grassroots level. You would need to start creating a party in your local town, region, or state and get it moving outside of your state and attract others with your political discourse. And that does happen. I mean, we didn't have a Green Party 30 years ago. We had the Democrat Party who primarily took care of the Green Party. And even to this day, the Green Party is very, very polarizing because it only really exists in a handful of areas. Even though they're technically a national party in that they put a candidate up for president, until they can actually get some members of Congress and some members of the Senate, they are not truly national parties. Well, I'm glad you all joined me for this discussion on 1776 conservatism. I will be including a link to minds.com/Veteran Mountain Man where you can talk to me about this, or you can leave your comments in the comment section here. I try to respond to every comment, but sometimes it takes a bit of time. I want to thank you all for joining me. Remember to like and share if you like what I'm doing here, and have a good day.